I love the 90s. Hey look, it's Young Paul, and guys, I just got this new game, Super Smash Bros. 64, and I just finished unlocking Luigi, Jigglypuff, and some guy named Captain Falcon. One more character to unlock, and lucky for me, my friend told me how to do it without telling me who it is. Oh boy, I hope it's Koopa or Princess Toadstool.
Captain Falcon!
1 hour later.
Alright, the moment of truth.
3, 2, 1, go!
Later that same evening.
Game set!
Hey look, it's Paul. And look, I love NES, but I hate running into a NES player when I play Super Smash Bros. Online.
How is that a thing?
Nothing personal against NES, it's just I was never a fan of his inclusion in Super Smash Bros. 64, at least as a kid. I didn't know who he was or why he was in the game. But to be fair, I didn't even know who Fox, Captain Falcon, Samus, or Kirby were. Hey, I was a basic bitch when I was 4 years old. If it wasn't Pokemon, Zelda, or Mario, I didn't know who you were. Of course, as I got older, I started to enjoy everyone's inclusion in Smash Bros. And in an effort to educate myself, I bought games representing each franchise. My mom got me Kirby's Return to Dreamland and Metroid Fusion when I was small, and to this day, they're still my favorite games in the franchise. And once I got access to the Virtual Console, you bet your ass I got F-Zero X and Star Fox 64. I even got my hands on some games like Ice Climbers to give the retro characters a shout out, officially upgrading me from noob to boob. But there was one game franchise that I could not get my hands on, and that was Mother, specifically Mother 2, known as Earthbound here in the USA. Reason why? There you go, 200 reasons why I didn't play Earthbound as a kid. By the time I actually showed real interest in playing Earthbound, Super Smash Bros. Brawl was already a thing, and Super Nintendo games weren't something you could find at your local GameStop no more, which meant I would have to ask my parents to order it for me from eBay, and, well, you saw the prices. There was no way in hell that they were gonna drop a car payment on something that I may or may not even like. I was 12 years old with a $10 allowance, so unless I wanted to wait half a year, which honestly in retrospect isn't that big of a time to wait for a game, I wasn't gonna get this game anytime soon. Instead, I decided to watch Nintendo Capri Sun and Sugar Conroy's Let's Play of the game, and... What the hell is this? What's with the LSD trip behind the bad guys? Why is my character shown as a card? That's no fun! Why is this music so scary? Why is this game $300? Why is Satan himself in the game? How is this game rated for kids? This is how I learned who Ness is. And to this day, I kind of regret it. Not that I didn't enjoy watching those Let's Plays or educating myself, it's just, there's a sort of magic you miss by not playing the game yourself. Earthbound is one of those games that you just gotta experience to fully appreciate. The dialogue, the atmosphere, and even the messages that this game tries to tell you can be discussed, but the feeling that they give you is truly unique to each player. So with that said, consider this a light spoiler warning. Now I say light spoilers mainly because I don't plan on going too deep into the plot in this episode. This episode is actually going to be split into 2 parts. In the next video, that's where I'll talk more about the plot and stuff. But as of right now, I haven't beat Earthbound. So I want to see how my opinion changes from someone who's an outsider to someone who's actually conquered the game. These days, it's actually embarrassing for me to admit that I haven't finished Earthbound yet, mainly because Earthbound has seen many digital re-releases over the years. It originally came to the US in June of 1995 and wouldn't see a re-release until the Wii U's Virtual Console July 2013, about 18 years later. I bought it, and I stopped as soon as I got to the part where you get jumped by the police.
Goddamn. That's no mind.
This game is infamous for having a pretty tough learning curve. And many fans of Earthbound will tell you that the first couple of hours are the hardest part of the game, and I could pretty much vouch for that since I stopped about 2 hours in. This wouldn't be the end of my Earthbound experience. One of the main reasons why I stopped playing besides the difficulty was because I was at this weird point in my life. I had just graduated high school and started college, and at the time, YouTube was really important to me. So any free time I had pretty much went to stop motions and sprite animations, if you could call them that. Whenever I played a video game, I felt like that was time I could be spending on my channel. And when I did play games, I was either playing something I knew I would enjoy like Paper Mario, or I'd play a game with my siblings, usually Melee or Mario Party 5. Earthbound flew off my radar until late 2018 when I finally got my hands on an SNES Mini, which had Earthbound bundled with it. Around this time, YouTube was pretty much just something I had on the back burner, so a lot of my free time went towards video games. I gave Earthbound another shot. I got to this point where this giant pencil blocks your path, but I couldn't figure out what to do, so I called it quits. I could have picked it up again, but Smash Ultimate had just come out. Not only that, but thanks to my jobs, I made a lot of good friends over the years. So if I wasn't playing Smash Ultimate with my sister, I was playing with these guys. Once again favoring Smash Brothers over Earthbound. Sorry, Ness. That brings us to late 2019 when I finally start treating this YouTube channel with dignity again. That's when I started doing my Hey Look It's Paul show, and one of the main reasons why I did it was to force myself to play some of these cult classics that I just missed out on. And one of the main games I actually had on my mind was Earthbound, the one that got away.
He got away.
Finally, over 20 years of waiting, I'm gonna beat Earthbound and see just for myself why exactly Ness deserves to be in Super Smash Bros. Like I said, I haven't beat Earthbound yet, but the two reasons why I assume Ness got put into Super Smash Bros. In the first place was because Earthbound was made by the same company that made Smash Bros., HAL Laboratory. Another reason why Ness probably made it into Smash Bros. Was because Earthbound was a pretty big hit in Japan. Over in the US, not so much, and there's a lot of speculation to why that is. Some people will tell you that it's because of Earthbound's poor marketing that the game did so bad. Now, to be fair, the 90s were all about gross stuff like poop and vomit, so saying that your game stinks is probably going to get any 5-year-old's pamper wet. But still, that doesn't change the fact that most adults would rather spend their hard-earned cash on a game they know they're going to like Mario or Zelda, versus some smelly game they just heard of. Speaking of spending money, even at retail price, Earthbound was still fetching a pretty penny, mainly because it came in this jumbo box that included the actual player's guide with it. People were probably saving their money for the other games coming out that year, like Yoshi's Island or Donkey Kong Country 2. Not to mention that Earthbound is an RPG, and RPGs weren't as big as they were then as they are today. The genre had its fans, but the internet was still a baby, so unless you were the type to try new things or you were just plain loyal to Nintendo's first-party games, you'd probably just let this one slip under your radar. It's a shame too, because from what I've seen and experienced, Earthbound is a fun game. Not only that, but it just feels so 90s. Like, if I had the chance to play it as a kid, I no doubt would have a lot of nostalgia for it today, same way I do with Mystic Quest or Link to the Past. But with only 5 hours of gameplay under my belt, I can't fully recommend this game despite knowing a good amount about it. And I owe all that thanks to Nintendo Capri Sun and Sugar Conray's Let's Plays. I didn't watch their whole Let's Plays mainly because I didn't want everything spoiled for myself, but I did spoil a healthy amount. For example, I know who the last boss is, I know who the main characters are, and stuff like that. So with that said, my knowledge of the plot and the gameplay isn't going to be too spoilery in this mini review. The story of Earthbound starts with a meteor crashing near your house. This is Ness, the kid you'll be controlling for 95% of the game. You and a couple of nosy neighbors go and check out the meteor. It's there that you meet some weird psychic fly who tells you that it's your destiny along with 3 other kids to stop this alien named Gigas? However it's pronounced, you guys gotta stop him from destroying the world. That's pretty much the plot summarized without any spoilers, because much like Zelda or Metroid, the journey is the destination. There's definitely a lot more to it than that, but like I said, I'm trying to keep it spoiler free here. Just know that the in-game plot itself isn't exactly what I would call Kingdom Hearts level of storytelling. In the Kingdom Hearts games, plot's pretty much 50% of the whole game's package. In here, not so much. The overall atmosphere and presentation is why the game stands out from the crowd. I'd compare it more to something like Banjo-Kazooie. Banjo-Kazooie is a platformer that often gets compared to Mario 64. Yeah, both are very similar in gameplay, but Banjo-Kazooie does enough different gameplay-wise to make it a different beast. Not only that, but the characters and atmosphere is what the fans come back for. I feel the same can be said for Earthbound, at least from what I know so far. The game is a turn-based RPG that should feel right at home if you enjoy other classics like Final Fantasy or Chrono Trigger. Only this game introduces a few mechanics that make it quite unique. Unlike the previously mentioned RPGs, Earthbound doesn't exactly show your protagonists in battle, instead showing you their stats in these little text boxes located in the bottom of the screen. The enemies themselves are shown to you almost in a first-person perspective, with some psychedelic backgrounds behind them. To some, this can be a turnoff. I know I found it weird, but honestly, I like it. I think it adds to that so-called charm that Earthbound is pretty much famous for. When you get hit, your health does not go down right away. Instead, it scrolls down like a slot machine, meaning if an enemy kills you with an attack, you have a few seconds to save yourself rather than falling immediately. I like to see it as your character is bleeding out and you only have so much time to patch yourself up before you die. Again, adding to that charm. Another really good game mechanic that they added is instant wins. Often in RPGs, when you backtrack to old areas you've already conquered, the enemies aren't worth fighting since the experience that you do gain from fighting them doesn't really add much to your growth at that point, so you often try to avoid them. In Earthbound, the enemies avoid you, and if you manage to get the first attack on them, you instantly win that fight and gain the experience without having to battle them. Why this isn't a thing in modern RPGs is a mystery that I'm sure not even the Scooby-Doo gang could solve. I also forgot to mention that if you sneak up to an enemy in general, you get the first strike, giving you the advantage. Enemies have this privilege as well, so watch out. Nothing sucks more than having an enemy get the upper hand, except maybe Earthbound's inventory space. Yeah, this is one of two things I really did not enjoy when playing this game. The inventory is unnecessarily cramped. You can't item stack, so if you have 5 hamburgers, there go 5 item slots. Not only that, but key items also take up a spot, instead of having their own storage area. The game offers a sort of item bank called the S-Cargo Express that can somewhat mitigate this, but that doesn't change the fact that your item space is still cramped. Even with my limited experience, I found this very bothersome. Another small problem I had was Ness's dad. He calls you on the phone every 2 hours suggesting that you put the game down and take a break. This is the kind of thing I expect from a Wii motion game, not an RPG from the Super Nintendo. Again, this isn't a big problem, especially for me since I only played for a few hours, but still, it's there. Now, on an original cart where you have to turn off the system, that may not be a big issue, but these days with save points and emulators, you're definitely going to be hearing it a lot. And considering Earthbound's main campaign is about 40 hours for the average player, you're looking at least 20 calls. Still, those little gripes seem like a ridiculous reason to call Earthbound a bad game. From what I've seen, the game looks really good, and the fanbase isn't afraid to let you know that either. Mother fans often tend to be mini encyclopedias on the franchise, and are often happy to show new fans just what Earthbound is all about. I'm more of a Sonic and Zelda fan myself, and if I could be honest, I could tell you firsthand that some of our more, let's just say, louder fans tend to make us look like we're at a constant civil war. That's something I don't see too much with the Mother community, and I really look forward to being a part of it once I beat Earthbound. Now that doesn't mean PK spammers are off the hook. They're still going to be the bane of my existence, and chances are I might not even like Earthbound. But there's one thing I know for sure. Beating this game is a long overdue checkbox that hasn't been checked on my to-do list. I'm sorry if this video came out a bit preachy or controversial, considering I haven't even beat, a fourth of Earthbound yet. I just really wanted to share my weird experience with Earthbound so far. In the next video, like I said, I do plan on going deep into the plot, as well as talking about the game mechanics more. Stuff I don't know yet, what I think certain things may or may not mean, what I think about Earthbound as a whole, pretty much. I also plan on collaborating with a certain B named Brandon, aka B Squared. I'm sure some of you Mother fans have already heard of him. His channel's got a lot of good stuff there, not just Mother related, but if you're a video game fan in general, especially Nintendo, I suggest you check him out. With that said guys, stay safe, have fun, and I will continue this conversation with you guys in the next part.